Okay.
All right, now it works. All right, let me share my editor. Um, because like sharing the whole screen might be too big that you cannot read anything.
Yeah.
So can you read it?
Yeah,
Is it fine? Okay,
it's
cool.
fine.
All right, yeah, like if we let me quickly dump this. Um, just quickly need to commit this locally. I could also stash it, but so I can work on it later.
Yeah.
Come on, computer, you can do it. All right, cool. Now we should have a clean sheet. Um, all right, so if we have like any view file which has like translations in it, or any XAML file for that matter, right? It doesn't really matter. So if you have like translation strings, right, like these are translations, right? This is a scope translation, and this is a regular translation. You always see that with like the S for scope. I think it's for scoped. Anyway, it should be. Um, so if we would be about to change this to administrator, right? So if we would have to change like this label. So now if we do a git status, we can see that we changed this, right, in this file.
Uh-huh.
So if I do git diff and then the file name, I can actually see what changed, right? So we can see, oh yeah, we changed from admin to administrator. All right. But this change alone will not let us to commit this, right? Because like the translation file needs to be updated. So this is where like the the tooling comes in handy, like the get text extractor. So we actually have to extract like all the different strings from the user interface, which this scrapes just like the code base. And now it's at extracting and then all done. Please commit the changes,
Mm-hmm.
local, like this file. So if we do a status again, we can see now we have two files which have changed, right? Like the super top bar file, this was
Mm-hmm.
where like I did the change.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is like the local file, right? And if we diff this file, then we can see that like like this got added. Um, so depending on if like a translation, like a string is already used, like if it's already used, like if you run this command, it will have zero changes, right? But if you add a new string which hasn't been used in the user interface at all, like administrator hasn't been used, at least not scoped with navigation, then it gets added to this translation file, right? Why is this important? Because like for all the localization files, like people get prompted that they need to add like a translation now for this new string.
Oh.
So we can translate it to different languages, right? So if we would change this to administrator, without the scope, I'm pretty sure this will yield a different result because I'm pretty sure we used administrator as a string in the user interface. So if I run it now again, and if we did this again, oh no, I was wrong. So we don't use the string administrator. What a bad example.
Okay.
In the entire user interface. But yeah, you get
Apologies.
the idea, right? Like that's how it works. And then you
Okay.
just, if you want to now commit this change, you just commit both the files, right? Like the file you did the change in and the modified translation file.
Where is this tool pulling the translations from?
The tool,
Yeah.
the tool is located in tooling bin get extractor. So it's a subfolder of your um, GDK GitLab folder. So it's
Oh,
in GDK, GitLab, tooling, bin, and then it's get extractor, get text extractor.
okay. But
But you
is
can run it just
yeah.
with like copy and pasting what we have in our document. So
Uh-huh.
that's the command you run. You just need to be in the GitLab repository folder, in the root folder where you would do like your Git pulls and so on, right?
Okay. But the tool is automatically translating these strings into other languages.
No, nothing. No, this is like manual work. That's not something we have to worry about at this point. The file which gets generated just contains all the translatable strings. So if
Oh,
we do a change to a string, it needs to be included, right? And then the local files, which are the translated relatives to this file, they would need to get updated, right? And we need to pull out a list of changes. And the reference is the local GitLab pod file is the reference. It's like consider it to be like the source, like the original language, which is English.
oh,
So it's a
okay.
source. Um, and then if somebody wants to translate it to French or for into any language, they can see actually what has changed.
Okay.
And if we added a new string, they have to translate it to French, right? There needs to be added like a French translation, a Japanese, you name it, like each language we eventually would support. So that people who, like which are translators or want to contribute to translation, they actually know what has changed from the last version to the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But if
I
but
yeah.
if like the string was already translated before, if we're reusing a string which is already in the product, there's a
Mhm.
high chance that if you run the command, the tooling command, that it doesn't give you any output, which means if there is no change to this file, to the local GitLab pod file, means that the string is already included. So there's a high chance that it already got translated.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
see.
no result doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's already included and it's already used somewhere in the UI.
Okay. Um, I guess I'm wondering why this isn't a part of our compilation process.
Um, that's a good question. Um, I mean, if you try to do a git push,
Mm,
um, the the actual hooks we have in place for a git push, like the left hook integration actually checks for translate the changes. And
mm,
if you don't stage the translation file, it will not allow you to push upstream. So there are checks included, but generating the file is manual work. And I
mm.
guess it has to do because like all these checks already take a while. And if we
Um,
would have to automate this, it would have to
okay.
run every single time, which
Mm,
like if you don't change any translations, it will still run. Um, so it might be just like a performance thing, right? That you have to do it manually. But if we would do like if I would now want to like commit this file,
mm.
well, we can do it. We can try it. So let me quickly branch out from my Okay. Oh no. Did I write your name correctly?
Eh, it's okay.
Oh no, there was like, I'm sorry. Now you have to look at this all the time.
My
Is it like that,
parents,
right?
like, they say like Elisa, but everyone else in the US
Okay,
says Alyssa. So it's like I just go by whatever's easiest for people. I don't really care that
it's
much.
fixed. It's fixed. It's fixed. It's correct now. All right, so okay, we're changing this string again. So if we do git status, I can't type today. Okay, so now you would see, okay, we have changed it in super top bar, which is correct. Now we run the
Hmm.
tool again. Uh, tooling. All right, now we can see both changes, right? But if I undo the changes in the translation file, so we would only have done the change here in the user interface, right?
Yeah.
If I now add this file and like try to commit this, okay, so we try to commit this now. So this is like where the left hook, like all the checks we have locally come in handy because Jesus Christ, why didn't they? Is that only on push? Let me,
I
I mean,
guess
we can delete the branch afterwards. It's fine. So
if the hook catches it
it,
and you
yeah,
haven't.
the hook might be pre-push and that because we
Mm,
have two different hooks, like
mm,
checks going on. Like one if you commit something. So the
mm,
commit one checks for like the writing style of code, like if it's within our guidelines,
mm,
with line breaks and like indent and so on.
yeah.
And I believe that the file, the translation change only gets checked if you push, because as long as you work locally, all those things do not really matter, right? It's like it
Mm.
matters when you try to push it up. So it actually should check now, and it should reject the push because it should say that we need to change the translation.
Is that an
Maybe I'm wrong on this.
is that an
Maybe we
automation?
only check it in the pipeline.
Mm,
That could also be. No, okay. Now,
okay.
my memory works. So now we see that, there's an error with get text, even though this looks very, cryptic.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like we now know there's an error, and now we see the error message, right? So it says get text, PO files need to be updated, try running. It actually hints you what you actually have to do, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
So it says try running the tool, um, failed to push some refs to the GitLab, right? To the GitLab repository. So yeah, so you see, there can't go like anything specific wrong if you do changes, because like like the command line tool, when you try to git push, will actually tell you what to do.
Hmm.
So we need to generate this file, and then we have to commit it, and then it actually will allow us to push to the GitLab repository.
I guess like at this point, could you have an automation that automatically runs that command?
You could, but theoretically it might be dangerous because let's say you didn't want this change. You would just do a
Oh,
typo. You would just do an
ah,
S here,
okay.
and then you would push, and maybe the reviewer would think that this is an intentional change, and then it just gets merged into the product. While as if it fails and tells you that there are translation changes, it's actually proactive that you have to double check if this is a wanted change. And if yes, you check if the change is correct and you manually have to add it to your commit.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be pros and cons in automating or like keeping this manually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that might be the reason why, this is not automated.
Okay.
I don't know, like,
Yeah.
it's just a guess.
Yeah. Whatever this like left hook thing is formatted so nicely. Like
Yes.
that's so easy to read.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it actually tells you all the, like all the things it wants you to do. Right? So, for example, if there are warnings, like there are messages, like that we missed like adding a change log, which is all correct, right? Because if we look at the log, I just, like added like a title or like a description,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't add like any change log, right? Which is like this thing here. So whenever we would do like a change log, um, it actually also links you to, like which types of change logs you can use. Let me see, because there's a link to our documentation, right? So there you can see all the different change logs, which, like in a nutshell, could be added if we add a new feature, can be changed, right? Which would be the right one to use here because we changed like a string.
Mm.
Can be removed if we remove a feature, and there are a bunch of, like there are a bunch of other changelogs like other for all the misc things. Um, but yeah, like this tool is very handy, right? And that's just like by default installed on your system because like these are like the official checks which do run if you try to push to the GitLab repository. So everybody contributing to GitLab internally and externally will, like see these rules.
Uh, does
At least if you use GDK.
okay. Um, are the different like colors coming with the left hook thing, or is that baked into VS Code?
The different colors, no, that's just like a terminal. Like in the terminal you use, you can set to use colors.
Oh, so those are your
Which
preferences?
yeah. These are
Oh,
just
okay,
like my
okay.
colors. Right.
Yeah,
So, these can be themed, you can change them.
yeah, super nice. Yeah, I realized like the other day all my text was white. It was super hard
Yeah,
to
I
read.
can I can add this to our agenda, like some links what you can try to install to make this a more pleasant experience. Because I
I
think like the different colors really help like with like what's going on, especially like if you have like red text, then you already know, oh, like this is like a danger thing, so there is something wrong. Whereas if everything has the same color, you really need to read through, which just uses a lot of time. Um,
I updated my .cshrc file, but it's super basic. Is that what you did to
yes.
customize? Can you send me your CSHRC file? I like your colors.
Um, like from the terminal.
Yeah, is that where you customize the colors?
Yeah, like I can send you a site where you can, like you can
Oh,
download like like a color scheme to your liking, and then
oh,
you can just, like install it. I can also share mine if you like, but it's based off, like another one anyway. So,
oh.
but you have like a ton of options, like to customize the colors to your liking. Um, okay, let me add to the agenda. There's also like iTurn 2 if you don't use this, which will help with some customization. So it just has like a deeper integration with like tools than the regular terminal from Apple.
That's
Um,
my daily terminal.
okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I think most people use this working at GitLab, so that's cool. And yeah, and then if you have like ZSH installed, I can. So if you install OMyZSH, if you maybe you're already using this, but this is a very easy way to customize your
Hmm.
terminal. I didn't need like my link. Okay,
Oh, I see. So
because
these are different themes. Okay, cool.
yeah, and they should also have like a section where they showcase like a gallery where they showcase all the different color options.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, here. Sorry, that was the wrong link. So I think it's this one. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then it has a link
changing.
to the instructions. It's very easy because in your ZSH file, you just
Mhm.
add this one command,
Hmm.
right, which is like looks like this. Um, and then you restart your
Mhm.
terminal, and then you actually should get like the colored one.
Oh, so easy.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, just
Like,
changing the
well,
command.
first install like oh my ZSH, and then you can
Mm,
actually just like use the theme you want from the gallery,
okay.
and you don't have to do anything manually. So
Ah, nice.
that might be the easiest way to get like yeah, like a beautiful terminal experience.
Yeah, it's helped my life a lot just to change the command prompt color. I was like, how was I living before?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's but I think like like all these nuances really add up to speeding you up with things, right?
Mm,
Even though
mm,
they seem very subtle and very specific.
excellent.
Um, but yeah, like like having like like code highlighting in the editor,
Mm,
in your like in your IDE, like proper syntax highlighting for the languages you're observing, and then also your terminal. This will just speed you up in your daily habits. So yeah, I really encourage you to invest some time to set it up to your liking, because I think it makes quite a difference.
wait, do you have a like the last commit on each line on hover?
Yes,
What?
I can.
No, no way!
Yeah,
Are
I
you
can
kidding
actually
me?
just I can glimpse into even like the description, and then like I have like a link here
Oh my
to
God.
the merge request, which I can click on, and then it opens in GitLab.
What
Um,
witchery is
yeah,
this?
you can also I can send you
Oh my God.
the extension, and then you can also why doesn't it file history, right? So you can open like a file history, which takes a while, but then you can actually see all the changes, and you can like you know you, you can actually see like who did what change, um and then you actually see the diff what has been added by this person.
Oh, so it's
Supposedly it
like
was me. Supposedly it was
name.
me doing the last change in this file, um which is no surprise, right? Because I'm still working on this. But yeah, so now you can see the last commit from from myself like a week
Wow.
ago was I was adding like this promo menu here,
Mm.
and then the commit before, or let's look at the last person who worked on before me,
Mm,
and then you can actually see what has changed. Okay, this ID has been added. You see here also which files have been changed, right? So we can see these two have been added because they're green. The ones with the blue with the plus minus thing is like these have additions and removals.
mm, okay.
Yeah, you see like the merge request. You can even use GitLab to explain. So, like the GitLab Duo.
Mm,
Or you could. I don't have like the proper. Yeah, like this looks broken, but this might be due because I'm zoomed in. Um, but yeah, it's
wow.
this
It's
is a
like
pro feature.
crazy
Yeah, it's
what,
it's called GitLens. Let
okay.
me see. VS. You're also using VS Code, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the lines are blurring so much between like editors and like Git clients.
Yeah, I never used the Git client. I'm I'm very old school when it comes to that.
Uh,
Oh, no.
yeah, it's crazy. This is so integrated.
Something broke in this document. I always have like this style from before. Yeah, this is definitely something you should install. That's very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's super cool.
No, it doesn't like to make a link. Oh, okay. No. Yeah, and then you can also get like the extension for, like GitLab workflows, the GitLab workflow extension, where in your editor you can actually see issues assigned to yourself. So you
Mm-hmm.
can you can actually click on one,
Mm-hmm.
and then it actually fetches the issue. So you can read the issue from GitLab within your code editor.
What?
Um,
Crazy.
or you can check like merge requests assigned to me, right? So if I click on this, I can see the changes. I can right click and I can also, like quickly check out like this branch. So it, like checks out like between the branches.
Mm.
Yeah. And also like merge requests I'm reviewing. So if you're reviewing something, you can also go here and then, like fast switch between branches. So that's handy too.
It's like I blinked and like
And
the
then,
development platform like landscape just
yeah, and then,
changed.
like most likely this will also be a handy tool for you. I will add the extensions. So this is like a GitLab Duo integrated in VS Code. So if you would, about to do a change, but you're not sure how to do it, you can also just ask, GitLab Duo to help you out, for
Uh,
example, as, as a companion.
uh,
So yeah, that might also be helpful.
okay.
Um,
Wow.
What's it called? I think we call it workspace, do we? I should know. I think I can. There we go. All right. So we have this, the GitLab workflow. Should have GitLab Duo extension as well. Or is it integrated in workflow? Could also be. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Workflow also adds like the GitLab Duo integration. So you only need this extension. which, like both in its own are very handy, right? Like the Git lens just to, glimpse into who has done like changes, and then
Mhm.
the workflow one, which connects you with your GitLab account, so you actually can quickly make use of switching back and forth and stuff. Um, right. Yeah, and here you can also switch between like the different changes. I think this file only has one change, so it might be a bad example again. Uh, the tools are drawing over. We can, no, there you go. But yeah, you can go to the next file and so on. So it's pretty handy to look for changes if you have like these. Um, but yeah, what I'm using the most is like this inline thing, right? To see like, okay, what was the reasoning behind this change?
So
And then
cool.
you can go to the merge request, you can open the commits directly. You can view like the changes, from like the upstream to this branch and so on. So that's pretty cool.
Oh my God. I need to stay updated on the development landscape. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty handy. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
All right, do you have any questions so far?
No, thank you. Sorry, I got distracted with tools.
No worries. I mean, this is like a free flow format. We can cover whatever you feel most comfortable with, or when we end up in a different direction, then we'll take the
Mhm.
official agenda item for like the next time. So as I mentioned, like I'm pretty flexible. Whatever you have questions or is helpful for you, we'll just adapt. That works for me.
Yeah, this is super exciting. Like, it was very archaic and manual when I was a dev like 10 years ago. So it's cool to see how the landscape has changed. And it's like so deeply integrated into editors now. Like version control and editors are just like,
Yeah. It's one blob now, right? Like you have like, well, you theoretically, like in theory, you could actually do all the work you need within VS Code, right? Like with like these extensions, where you can
hmm
actually open your issues and your merge
hmm
requests. You could do everything within one window, which um, might be a good or bad thing.
hmm
But I still like to reach out to our interface, like to search for issues and merge requests. But at least like the part where you can quickly switch between branches, that's actually pretty handy, right? So
Yeah. Or blame basically in the context of your editor still. That was pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, right. Like these,
Yeah.
like merge requests I'm reviewing, right? And then you see, oh, okay, these are the open and Mars which I'm reviewing. Um, you know, has something changed? You can look into the changes quickly. You can check it out easily. So that's pretty helpful.
Super cool.
Um, should we also look into um, the point with like how the code base is structured, or do you have like
Yeah.
anything else related to the code editor you wanna get me covered for today?
No, the code base structure is good. There's a lot of files.
Yeah, it's like there are like a lot of like this is like the top level structure, right? Within like the GitLab repo, right?
Hmm.
So that's like a top level structure we have. There's so many files which are not relevant for you at all, for that sense, right? Like I guess like most of them, especially like the ones which start with a dot. Like these are hidden files, like this like VS Code extension configuration.
Oh,
Rubacub is like Ruby, like or tools for Ruby, for like the code style sniffer, like to make sure like that everything is formatted in a certain way. Left hook we use, in our command line. So these are just like helpers, right? So we don't care about those. Um, the first folder, which is actually interesting for us, is doc. Like within doc, you have like all the documentation, which
okay.
gets pulled out of GitLab, right? Like the part which ships with GitLab, like the contextual help we have built into the product. So like this resides within like the doc folder. Yeah, DB is database, but we usually don't do things in here, I guess. Um, EE is the legacy for the Enterprise Edition, right? It was named after the Enterprise Edition, which doesn't exist anymore, but it's like all the enterprise features we have, for like the paid, like the paid features, for the different tiers. So this resides within like its own folder and has the same subfolder structure as you have on the root level here,
Um,
which might be confusing. Right, we have like e app, and in here we also have app. Um, that's on purpose because like for the community edition, right, for like the open source variant, we actually strip away like everything which is within the EE folder. So that's just like an easy way to encapsulate like all the paid features.
um, couldn't someone just download the EE like folder publicly and then get like an enterprise version from the code?
I guess if you want to pirate, you can pirate, yeah, um, in certain ways. Um, but I'm not sure if there's like any license checks deeply
Mm.
rooted into the product, which would prevent you from doing that.
Mm.
But yeah, like like if you're on a bad habit, you could like I guess like get rid of all these checks too. Um, but yeah, it's usually the case, right? Like if somebody wants to pirate like a software, they will do it and they can do it,
Um,
right? It's not restrictive to GitLab itself. But yeah, it's just like like a way how we can um having like a monolith repository with like all the changes.
mm.
Whereas back in the day, I think there were like two separate repositories, and they got merged into a single one, which is like way easier to maintain. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
yeah, and yeah, like within the EE folder, you have like the same structure, right? We have like the app,
Hmm.
like we have here on the top level, right? That might be the most common folder you will work in because like everything which is within app is like the application.
Okay.
So all the different, like a lot of different files are in there. And then we have the same under EE, same for bin config, database, and so on, right? But yeah, like the most interesting things are, nope, sorry, is app.
Hmm.
And then the second most interesting one might be spec, because like all this the like the specifications reside in the top level folder of spec, right? Like here are all the tests, like all the unit tests and all those things, to test like the components for behaviors and functionality. They are within like its own folder, which is spec. And then we also have like the quality control one, the QA one, which is another level. of tests.
What's the difference between the test and spec and QA?
Yeah, like tests are within like the spec folder, right? Like all the tests we run are in the spec folder.
Okay.
Um, the the QA one are these are usually things which do run to I think like base level tests. But like the QA ones are actually being run in a Chrome instance. So it's actually like click tests, right? So you actually have like um, how are they usually called? Like unit tests? I'm not sure about the term, but yeah, like the spec ones is just a specification of a feature, right? It checks if you pass this property to the component, does it yield like the result you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for? Like if you have like a lot of application, it just checks the application logic of a component. While
Mm-hmm.
as in the QA folder, we actually do check for user journeys. Like can you actually create an issue? Can you create a merge request from an issue? Can you delete an issue? Like these user actions are tested or residing within like QA. While
Okay.
as the bare functionality of like the combinations you can have is within spec. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So QAs are like end-to-end tests for that matter.
Okay.
Spec is just like the specification of a feature. Um, yeah, and then we have like vendor. Vendor is just like external libraries and tools we include with GitLab. And then tooling is all those nitty and gritty things like the tool we use, right? Like the get text extractor. They're all residing within like the tooling folder. Um, but yeah, we usually just pull them or use them for various tasks, but nothing we usually touch on a daily basis. And then Storybook is because like we have two storybooks, right? Like one storybook for GitLab UI and the other one for components which live a happy life within GitLab, within the product. So that's like the storybook folder for those components, for the share components from within the product. But there are, spoiler alert, there are some efforts on the way that we can actually combine them into a single under a single storybook, which will make like the life way easier if we only have a single place as source of truth for components.
Wait, sorry, what's the difference between the two storybooks?
So the one from GitLab UI only contains components maintained by the DS team, right? By the design system team. So all the components which
Oh,
which come from the design system. But we have so many components which are maintained by feature teams, right? Like, let me give you an example. Like if you're on the merge requests, you have like the pipeline widget. So this is not a component which is owned by the design system team,
uh-huh.
but rather of the feature team. And then, like all those components which are not base components from the design system,
Okay.
and are shared components because they can be used in various places in the product. They usually have an entry in the storybook, so that you can actually see all the properties, like all the different variations you can use a component. So yeah, it looks and behaves pretty much the same as the one you might be familiar with GitLab UI, but
Okay.
just like a scoped one for the product for all the other components.
Okay.
We can also look into that like in another session, like how you can actually run this storybook locally, so that you can actually explore like okay, like which
Mm-hmm.
components are actually shared and available. Um, That's also something we can cover in one of our sessions.
Cool. I'm adding those other things to the list.
Yes, yes, please. Otherwise, I will most likely forget about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then yeah, like within like app, um, you have like all the different folders which are helpful, right? Like assets is where all the view files live, right? Like under assets, JavaScript is like the whole application logic of the view.
Mhm.
Um, then we have images. I think that's self-explanatory. We have style sheets, which is all the SAS code, right? Like all the style sheets, the CSS code.
Mhm.
Um, and then builds is what actually gets compiled, right? Like that's like the compiled code. So
So
that's also, yeah, go ahead.
is this all compiled code or only the builds folder?
No, only the builds folder. Yeah.
Oh,
The builds folder is like, like compiled CSS files, right? Because we only store the source files, right? Like the SCSS
okay.
files. But these files are source files, like a browser cannot read them.
Mm,
So if you do a change, it actually gets compiled real time in the background and gets moved into the build folder, right? So here we have like the compiled CSS files, which yeah, hasn't, like because like these are grayed out because they're in the git ignore, so they get not committed because we only store
oh,
right. So whenever you see like a grayed out, which is terrible on my screen with my background, you can barely read it now with like the
um,
blurred thing. But yeah, like the color difference you see here in the sidebar, right? They serve a purpose, right? Like red means in this folder I did a change, right?
mm,
Because we did a change. And yeah, like gray means these are ignored files.
yeah,
Yeah, and then if you stage something, like this, like the file will turn green, for example, and so
yeah,
on. So yeah, it also reflects here, right, in the file name of the tab. So this should reflect like the change here.
okay. I have to jump to another meeting, but this was
Yeah,
super
sure. Oh,
cool.
are we at time? Okay, yeah, same here.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm like so impressed with the development landscape these days. Jeez, crazy.